This is the Be the Solution podcast, and this is Maria Quattrone. You are your own solution. Today, my guest is David Ross. David has been in the development business for over 10 years with Argo Property Group. They have a portfolio worth $135 million and have over 500,000 square feet. Whew. Argo is quietly working to transform Philadelphia into a more vibrant, inclusive, and economically diverse city to call home. They've developed over 50 townhomes in Brewerytown, East Falls, and Allegheny West area, and are currently in the middle of a massive development plan for the Paradise neighborhood with over 90 townhomes for sale, which is in a quiet, walkable neighborhood just south of East Falls along the Schuylkill River. David is a founding partner at Argo. He manages the development vision from planning and community engagement into entitlements and throughout construction management. David has an MS in sustainable design from Jefferson University and is a member of the Urban Land Institute and BIA of Philadelphia. Well, welcome, David. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
Thanks. Hey, Maria. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. All things, all good things, all things positive and moving things forward here in the Philadelphia real estate market. So you're doing a big project, 90 townhomes. That's a lot of townhomes.
Yeah, we did a lot of work in Brewerytown when we started our development company about 10 years ago and saw a lot of opportunity a little further up the river. So you're still close to downtown, but you have a little more green space. It's walkable, it's a little quieter. So that's where we've invested a lot of time over the past 5 years doing a whole bunch of variance projects to develop townhomes.
So currently, right now, what do you have out of the ground for sale or coming out?
Right now, we have 5 development sites that are actively under construction, and we have model units in each of them ready over the next month. Paradise Peak project is 24 townhomes. All of them have private garages, roof decks, and the full 10-year tax abatement. 3 of them have already sold. We're doing open houses now. On the same block, we have a 3 townhouse development with garages, roof decks. A block away, we have 8 duplexes for sale, where it's the upper unit and the lower unit for sale. Another half block from that, there's 6 townhomes with 2-car parking. And then on Ridge Avenue in the same area is the Laurel Ridge townhomes, which is phase 1 is 21 townhomes. Phase 2, which we haven't broken ground on yet, is 22 townhomes, which will start Q3 or Q4 this year, depending on sales.
And the houses start at what price and they go to what price?
Generally, the new construction townhome pricing is between $500 and $650. We have some smaller units in the duplexes that are for sale closer to $350,000. New construction with parking. Some of those have rooftops. So it's a wide variety that we're trying to provide here.
That's great. So you have a diverse mix of buyers in the marketplace.
Yeah.
At different price points. Smart. How do you see sales progressing thus far in the spring market?
I think we're all facing the same challenges. Everyone's waiting for the Fed to actually drop rates. I think everyone's been promised it for 6 or 9 months now. So a lot of buyers are continuing to sit on the sidelines. I think at some point these buyers are still going to come out. We're obviously biased. I'm optimistic that all these buyers are here. But on this side of the city, we have the largest townhome development cluster outside of the North Bank and the Somerset Square over in the Port Richmond area.
I do think that there are a lot of buyers sitting on the sidelines. I hear it every day. It's our job to educate them that might not be such a great idea.
Yeah.
Waiting necessarily isn't a good plan, especially if you're waiting and then there's more competition to buy and the prices increase. Then it's just going to cost people more money. And there is no guarantee, unfortunately, that rates will come down.
Right.
And from anyway, what I've been seeing is that possibly, in the after, well, maybe September, but that's pretty doubtful. I think probably it happens maybe December after the election.
I have no crystal ball. So again, I think we're just in a fortunate position to be delivering townhomes because there's a lot of apartments coming online. There's a lot of battling for vacant units, and when it comes to new construction inventory, I think we're pretty well positioned for the buyers that are out there that have just been hesitant. So
Yeah. I think if you're renting, any time is a good time.
yeah, it is definitely a good time. We've seen appreciation in the neighborhoods we're working in of upwards of 20% over the past 3 years through the turmoil that we've all gone through. And it's still some of the best value in the area for new construction homes.
Yeah, absolutely. So if somebody bought a year ago and the values just increased, 10%, and the house was 300,000, they now have $30,000 in equity
Yeah.
that they didn't have, that they don't have because they're still renting.
So
So
that's what's interesting with some of our phase developments. Our early buyers who bought pre-development or when we're putting shovels in the ground put these under contract 18 months ago, and they're closing on the prices that we were marketing then, and they're closing $50,000, $75,000 under current listing pricing. So it's great for them. It's good for us to move inventory and show the banks that there's progress. At the same time as we're continuing to build this out over the next 18 months, 24 months, the buyers that are getting in now are still getting in early. And as prices are climbing up sale after sale, it's still a really good time for people to get in.
when was it best to buy real estate? 10 years ago, 20 years ago? When's the next time to buy, best time to buy real estate? Today.
Yeah, it is. And no matter, you get caught up in waiting. You'll just sit on the sidelines too long. Like even when the market's going crazy, we're not seeing it come down. I don't know if we'll ever see, this great collapse of real estate prices, because every township, in every neighborhood is pushing back against new inventory. So it's going to just get further and further challenging to buy single family new construction. So there's no benefit of waiting.
No, there is no benefit. I had a conversation with clients of mine today who happen to be looking in like the Garnet Valley area.
Yeah.
And, they're frustrated because of the inventory situation out there. I said, waiting till later is not a good option. It'll be worse as prices increase and properties become further out of reach, quite frankly, and they're a move up buyer. So, rate comes into it. But if you think about it, the average rate over the last 50 years was 8%. So we're under what the average rate was, is to figure out how to make things work. And, things just generally are more expensive than they have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We really like this pocket that we've invested a lot of time and resources into. You can walk up to East Falls. You can drive downtown in a few minutes. There's bus routes. You can get to the train easily. For us, it's been like a quiet neighborhood gem, and we've already done about 15 homes in the neighborhood. We did a lot of renovations to help get the sales prices up. And then when we were
smart.
buying a lot of industrial land, there were no comps. So we kind of had to set the baseline as we were doing environmental remediation, demo, permits, entitlements, to kind of prep the new construction sites.
Makes a lot of sense. You're creating your own market.
Trying to. It hasn't been easy. And it's behind schedule from where we envisioned it a few years ago. But I don't think that's unique to us. I think that's everyone has been fighting the same headwinds in the industry.
Oh, there's definitely lots of challenges between the rise of construction costs, the rates, the supply chain issues that continue to happen. I think that Baltimore Bridge collapsing was another slew of problems of getting, you know, product to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother thing. So I want to switch gears for a moment. What got you into this industry?
I grew up in construction. My father and my uncle had a small, unsuccessful construction company in central Pennsylvania, really a Rust Belt area. So I grew up in the trades and I couldn't wait to get out. Uh, I was in it when I was 13 years old, every weekend, every summer, and in the evenings. My dad was the Roto-Rooter guy in town. So uh, I got used to plumbing work and stuff when I was young. I couldn't wait to get out of it. When I turned 18, I went to college, went into computers, worked in software, um, worked a few years in software, and just really missed the built environment. So kind of planned it out, and then I took evening classes at Philly U, which is now Jefferson. For they had a master's program in sustainability, so it was like a green, environmentally focused architecture and engineering program for the built environment. So it was high performance living. That led into like passive house, as LEED's kind of been less popular. So a lot of high performance construction methods, things like that. So that brought me back in, and then 2014 started Argo with some renovations, and then continued to live a dual life, working corporate for a few years, which I don't think is unique, and then made the leap, I think, in 2016 full time.
Oh, it's been a quick 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. And it hasn't been easy, but I don't think anyone's journey is easy. But we started doing a lot of mixed use, commercial, multifamily stuff. That is still half of our portfolio. This neighborhood now where we're doing all these homes just happens to be, an area where the neighborhood really asked for homes in the development we did. So there wasn't a major commercial corridor. We have a lot of other sites where we're doing mixed use buildings with like 50 units over commercial or strictly commercial. And most of it is in the same area, like Northwest Philadelphia, East Falls area.
Which is still pretty an underdeveloped neighborhood in Philadelphia County.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there for growth. Like it's not like, I think Fishtown is like, I want to say overdeveloped, but it's pretty developed.
I'll continue to welcome it. It's people investing in the city, moving to the city, but I do think there's an abundance of active development in Fishtown, and you just wonder about the absorption of where these tenants are coming from. Them being focused there versus multiple parts of the city. People have families on the west side of the city. They work on the west side of the city, so not everyone wants to live on the east side of the city. So you kind of work with that, which
you
is
have 9,000 units coming to the east side of the city, down in Northern Liberties, Carter, Delaware Avenue, Fishtown. They're there. I mean, and another however many throughout, total of about, I heard now 16,000.
I believe it. You go across Spring Garden and
Yeah.
Avenue, and you'll see it.
Another one. Every time we driving around, my husband drives me to the appointments, and we're like, we'll go. Who goes? There's another apartment building going up right now.
Yep.
And you have concerns about your own inventory and having a downward pressure on rental rates due to all the new coming inventory.
We have a few apartment buildings where we've seen this. We have some smaller apartment buildings in Brewerytown that aren't as amenitized as some of the larger buildings. And it's a challenge to get those leased up for the same rents as maybe we did a year ago, or the rent appreciation isn't going up as much as we had planned. if you go back 3 years, you could pencil out any project with rates as low as they were. So right now we're seeing the aftermath of that, of all these projects going up, that the land was bought, they were underwritten, people raised money, they started construction, a year ago, 2 years ago, and all these projects that are under construction have been committed. So they're going up no matter what.
They're going up no matter what. Do you
Yep.
think I kind of feel like some of them will end up, I hate to say this, but I'm more of a realist,
Mhm.
like zombie buildings.
I don't think there'll be zombie buildings. I think, I think the operators are going to be more willing to open up to affordable housing or mixed types of units. Um, some of the buildings may work for partial condo conversions or condo conversions if you're in a nice neighborhood. Um, that gets harder when you're working in the fringes of the B neighborhoods and the C neighborhoods. But that's an option for, I think, the buildings in the core of either Center City or Fishtown.
Yeah. One of the things that I looked at several projects and I said, some of the issues with the design of the building, I don't mean design of the building, but the size of the units. They're so small, and you have the living spaces very small as well. And it definitely leads more to like an apartment than a condominium.
Yeah.
I think that's a challenge.
I think that's an industry wide thing that's happened over the past 10 years
Yes.
as builders and developers looked at square footage, new construction costs going up wildly. We had our prices go up 40% to build. So, when projects are being underwritten, you're trying to shave out a couple square feet on all these units. So
Yeah.
we're seeing that across the industry. Almost any of these new construction buildings, you're seeing tighter floor plates, more efficient floor plates. There's a lot more consideration that goes into that. And so you do lose some of the vastness of some of these buildings that were, built 10, 20, 30 years ago, where they didn't have the same lender and investor expectations.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. I'd be curious to see, over the next several years what happens with all of it. I do think though we're going in the right direction in regards to the city itself, and
Yeah.
with the new mayor coming in and
Yeah.
cleaning up
Well,
Kensington
well
Avenue.
about that, you know, I think you can look at any headline that's looked at Philadelphia in a positive or a negative light, but it's still one of the best places to invest or work in eds and meds. It's still affordable. They're still great. The food, the restaurants. It's a great place to live, and we're going to continue to grow our holdings and real estate construction here.
Yeah, there's a lot worse places,
Yeah,
a lot worse places in here. I think there's, with all of the new construction projects that are happening all over the city, the Schuylkill River yards, you have the Navy Yard,
hmm
um, with Mosaic and what they're doing down there. I mean, that's 1,200 acres are down there. It's the size of Center City,
it's great.
right? Then you have the capping of 95. You have the capping of the Vine Street Expressway that will be happening. The new Sixer Stadium.
hmm
Wells Fargo is slated for a huge development down there of shops and restaurants, and life goes on. Is the point?
Yeah, I think all these things are great for the city. It gets people to consider Philadelphia that otherwise wouldn't have been. So, I don't think us as builders and developers need to be, bickering about what part of the city we're working in. I think we're all looking for the same vision, which is an awesome.
Absolutely. I think the saying is you're better together, right? In collaboration, not competition.
Mhm.
So I always work towards being in contribution, giving back, and both on the consumer and real estate community. Like, how can we help each other rise up and be better? I mean, still looking things as they are too, and not being too rose-colored glasses about things. But I do feel more optimistic than it's been over the past several years
Yeah.
with just the safety in our city, which is critical. That gets taken care of. I saw a good article the other day about how Philadelphia is becoming safer every day. So I think we should be screaming that from the rooftops. That gets more people here. One area though I think has been challenged quite a bit, David, and your thoughts on this is the Temple University student housing. I've seen it's very difficult there to make anything work, even anything that people have owned for years. It's not even very easy to lease anything up at all.
Yeah. We don't currently have anything directly in the Temple neighborhood. We do have some partners and investors that own land there and around University City. And the challenges they're facing is the university realized, a decade ago that they can house tenants or house students and force them to live there. And you see the Temple high rises, you see the ones over at Drexel and Penn, and a lot of the small property owners, small buildings around there that were private market are suffering.
Greatly.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm talking about $100,000 to $150,000.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to bounce back immediately. I think, you're looking at a wider issue with, enrollments across all universities falling. So students aren't coming back in mass to these areas. I think a lot of the student housing are going to be converted back to market rate.
Market rate properties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think, and some of them are putting Section 8.
Yeah.
As a rent to.
We
to
haven't
stop
had
the bleeding.
Yeah, we haven't had to do that, but that does make sense, and I imagine that's going to be many hundreds of properties across not just Philly, but everywhere. It's not unique to Philly that universities have started to develop their own properties. I've seen it in other areas too.
They start to develop their own properties, but also they offer online classes.
Yeah.
As well. There's a lot of online. You don't necessarily have to go to some of the universities or schools, and you have all of the, also not just the university, but the infill of properties that may be in better condition, in a better location. You're only buying property as they were available.
Yeah.
Right, as it was available. So if there was a property that's 2 blocks further out, and there's better inventory within a block, that's leasing up first.
Yep. Yep, that hasn't affected us, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah. I think, looking at the Philadelphia landscape, I think that, there's still so much opportunity for growth here. I think people will, start to come back to the city when things get a little bit better. We did see a lot of people leave, when not just leave the county, but leave Pennsylvania to go to Florida. I'm sure you have friends that moved to Florida.
Yep.
And to the Jersey Shore and Charleston and, places like that. We sold a lot of those properties. So I'm intimately involved in what was going, from the standpoint of just boots on the ground. But I think what we will see once things get a little bit better, more eventually, the empty nesters wanting to come back to the city to either rent or buy, depending, and downsize from their big houses on the main line in Bucks County. But that's the majority of people right now that in those counties that are selling are more empty nesters, and as well as people relocating to other states.
Yeah.
For work mainly, or retirement.
Yeah, we've started to think about continuing to develop in Philly versus some of the near neighborhoods just outside. We're open to that opportunity, but we haven't closed on anything yet.
Yeah. Well, what's what's the total number of units you have, and what's the time frame for the phases? You like 3 years from everything done, or what's?
So there's kind of two things. One is the Paradise neighborhood, where we're heavily invested and involved. In that neighborhood, we have about 90 townhomes. 60 of those are under construction now. and some of those are phased that we'll be starting them this summer or this fall, to kind of come out last. So the last of them will all be delivered within 24 months. And outside of that, we have some apartment buildings that we're developing in Germantown, East Falls area. So that's keeping us busy too.
Phew. That's a lot of homes to deliver over a 2-year span.
It is, but I think if you zoom out, like there's the need for it and the appetite, and a little self promotion here. If you look at Philadelphia on a map and look at new construction with parking, we are some of the only product along the Schuylkill River that is under $1 million. We have a lot of first time home buyer product, a lot of move up buyer product in a nice quiet neighborhood. So I feel pretty good about that. A lot of the development has been focused on other parts of the city, so we're offering something unique over
Yeah, I
there.
think you have a nice little niche there
Mhm.
going on, and there's not hardly any competition at all.
Yeah,
Just, I guess, yourself. Uh,
yeah, that's fine. The product is it's different.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's good in that respect. And you do your own construction management
yeah,
things in house now.
yeah. It's both. As we've grown over 10 years, we've gone back and forth a few times. We started with a small in-house team, and then as we scaled, we used some outside builders that we've partnered with and worked with. A lot of good relationships from that. Currently, we're building with our in-house team most of the product. We still have 2 projects that we're working with outside GCs on, and that's just allowed us to scale and focus on, being an owner developer first, and then having the GC arm is kind of a necessity out of that, just to control things.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to build.
Timing, cost,
Yeah, I'm just
all of it.
Yep.
Yeah, especially when you have a third party that's working, regardless, a lot of people are also doing their own stuff. So you have to.
Yeah, the evolution of a lot of developers is you end up wanting to do more yourself, but you want to do less projects. You want to control your product more. So we're actively running, 60 townhomes under construction. It's about 16 different development sites. We're trying to tone that down. As these projects finish, we want to be more selective about what we bring into the pipeline. I think my stress level and everyone on my team would appreciate doing a few less projects. So we'd like to get that down to just have, a half dozen projects of scale that are nicer that we're focusing on, so we're not spread too thin.
Yeah. It's a lot. There's a lot involved. People don't realize how much is involved in new construction development, and from land acquisition to environmentals to mechanicals, engineering, design, structure, finishes. And then, by the way, you have to sell it.
Yeah, that's one thing that we also adjusted on, was we created an in-house sales team. We're emulating a little bit what Devon and North Bank is doing over along the Delaware, where they in-house their sales. They have a nice showroom. They have multiple product. So we have kind of a poor man's version of that going in our pocket of the neighborhood. But that's our idea, is control the inventory and the sales process as much as possible. So it feels like you're walking into a home buyer relationship, and then we have multiple product for you to choose from, multiple timing, and heavy incentives to make the purchase easier for the buyer.
And are they able to also do some customization at this point in time, or?
Some of the homes, not all of them. Some of the first time home buyer, the entry level product, not really. We offer some finishes, selections on a lot of the models. And then the customizations don't really come into play until the higher end product. It's just it's a mental bandwidth that us and a lot of other builders, you can't do that on the entry level homes.
No. It's actually just too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
I've done a few, and I'm always happy to get into it, and then I regret it later.
Yeah.
So I've
We
been through it.
we've done a lot of that over the years. In fact, I remember selling a development. It was about 10, I don't remember how many. It was a long time ago. But it was when 08, 09, when nobody would give any money,
Hmm.
and you had to supply an agreement of sale for the builder to go to the bank to get the money.
Okay.
And so it was a whole dog and pony show, literally. And the buyers were able at that point to select pretty much all the finishes. And I guess it was a $425,000 house in 2009, 2010.
Yeah, but I think everyone goes through that when you're getting started. The
Yeah.
first 6 homes we built, new construction, we sold at $425,000. And I let them pick out everything, and it sucked a year of my life
Oh,
into
yeah.
finishes from all over the place and unique, repairs and warranty things for things that were oddly sourced. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but you just want to mitigate it into the future.
No, no, that's at the time, like, really what needed to happen to make the sales happen, because there really weren't a lot of sales happening, during the financial crash of 2008. But, you get through it, you get it done, you roll your sleeves up, and,
Yeah.
you work till 10 o'clock at night, whatever it takes to make it happen. 20 years later.
Yeah. Well, we look up to you. You've done a lot of work here, and you're always sending us some good opportunities to look at.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we love it. We're gonna come over and visit you at the model home. I'm gonna take a tour, and then I'm gonna bring my video people through, and we'll do a little video.
sure.
We could put out there and share. But I'll bring a couple of our salespeople over. So, but before we wrap up, David, I have a couple questions for you.
Shoot.
Guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah.
Um, I have a 7-year-old daughter and enjoy disconnecting. So exploring different soup, like ramen places around the city with her is a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool. I love it. She's 7. Wow. I'm big. Shoo, time flies. Okay. And what are you most excited about? It could be personal or business.
Most excited about, I think I've finally got to a point where we have a good team in place. That's something that in real estate development is one of the hardest things, to get good people around you at all aspects, from sales to construction, your vendor side as far as sourcing stuff, your architecture and planning side. So I had a health scare 2 weeks ago and I had to be out of the office for a week. And it was nice being able to just trust my team, which is the first time I've ever been able to do that.
Wow. I hope
So
you're okay.
yeah. But that's what I'm most excited about, is being able to reclaim some of my own sanity. I know my wife would appreciate that. My daughter would appreciate that. And looking forward, just, being able to balance life a bit better. I think everyone in this business is going to say the same thing. It's not a healthy balance when you're growing, when you're expanding.
No, there is no such thing as a healthy balance in that when you're in that mode, for sure. Well, I'm glad that you're okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, having a great team is super, super important. It's almost like, oh, I have a good team. I don't know if I want to add anybody else to upset the apple cart.
It's always, and every good team member, they're growing their own career. So
Yeah.
we'll grow up and move on. Some of them will stick with you for 1 year or 10 years. And you just kind of celebrate it and encourage them to get better when they're with you.
All you can do.
Yeah. And when people move on, it's good for
Wish
them.
them well.
Yeah.
It's all good. People are here for a reason and a season. And,
Yeah.
we know that everybody eventually will go on to do something else.
Yeah. That's always a good thing.
Yeah. As long as I always say, keep on growing.
Yeah. I do want to plug, this neighborhood where we're doing 90 townhomes. It's 5 active sites. We have 2 sites that we haven't broken ground on yet, but we are doing like a brokers/community open on Thursday, June 6th in the evening from 4:30 to 7. We're just getting the word out there now, but we're trying to let everyone know about what is happening here and how nice of a neighborhood it is. So
Oh,
obviously,
that's awesome.
yeah,
We'll put that in, when we package everything up, we'll put that in there.
great.
Awesome. David, thank you so much for your time today. It was great seeing you and learning about all of the great projects that you're doing. And we will see you soon.
Appreciate it, Maria.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you.